years, actually it worsens the public divisions, social divisions, more than ever before. So we have to bear in mind, even if we want to argue, in favor of military coup, we have to think of the consequences. Even if there is a so-called arguably good coup, okay, you got rid of Thaksin. Thaksin was, he got so much executive power, he was almost like Mahathir when Mahathir was in power. But getting rid of Thaksin, would military coup be the best way to get rid of Thaksin? No. We can see his people still voted overwhelmingly for him, and the divisions remain. Thai society today is really so divided, and military has acquired so much power in the process and playing very prominent role. When Yingluck came to power 2 years ago, she had to go and meet with all the generals to assure them that their interests would be protected. So we have to think, do we want a society in which generals would have exclusive clubs and this and that, would have a hand in business, would have a hand in banking, would have a hand in the financial sector, everything. One Thai scholar told me, generals, the army, right, in Thailand, army officers in Thailand, they are first and foremost businessmen or businesswomen, because they are also women soldiers or generals. Or then secondly, they are politicians, and then they are soldiers. So first they are businessmen, business people, then they are politicians, and then thirdly they are soldiers. Practically they are not doing the job that they should be doing. They shouldn't be involved in business, they shouldn't be involved in politics, but today they are, and more than before. So we have to think, do we want a society as such, even if we want to argue in favor of a good coup? But not all the picture is gloomy. I give you two more examples that I feel very much encouraged. One is South Korea. South Korea used to be ruled directly by the military or backed by the military government, civilian governments backed by the militaries for more than 30 years. But after democratization in the late 1980s, because of a very strong civil society, they have a lot of unions. The unions are so powerful, student movement so powerful, women's group, everything religious groups. They have a very vibrant civil society that contributed to democratic development in South Korea in the late 1980s. And they continue to monitor the government. They continue to make sure that the civil-military relations would be in its proper place. The military will not play a prominent role. So after several changes of governments for the last 20 years, we can see South Korea today, although despite the fact that it has military conflict with North Korea, okay, because usually in a country that is facing threats from a neighboring country, the military would naturally play a more important role, right? Like in Thailand, when they had the insurgency in the south, or in the Philippines, there was also an insurgency, or they fighting communists and all that. But in the case of South Korea, the army is doing its job, guarding the border, safeguarding national security, without interfering in politics. So there have been several peaceful and successful transitions of power in South Korea today. So they already established the tradition that the military men will remain in the barracks, not in public office. Then we look at Indonesia. Surprisingly, maybe 15 years ago, we were all looking down on Indonesia again. Oh, corrupt lah, military lah, and this and that. But you look at Indonesia today, the military, if you are a general, if you are a soldier, you have military background, you are not allowed to run for public office, right? You are not allowed to run election. Mayoral election, local elections, president, no. You have to take off, you have to resign from the army, take off your uniform, join a political party before you can, run for whether president or Dato' Bandar, whatever, or governor, in that case governor, right? And also like the military has handed over the power, the jurisdiction of internal security to the police. So there is a clear division of duties now. The politicians, president running the country with executive powers, the police monitoring internal security, national security, and then the army guarding the borders, dealing with, in case of, whether there's invasion or whatever. Right. So the army is, of course, I'm not saying all is well. at least we can see the progress in Indonesia. The military has no political role in Indonesia. Definitely more, compared to 15 years ago. So that is a very significant improvement, right? Despite the fact that it has a very violent political history in the last so many years, right? We have to look at how to negotiate, how to establish, a proper functioning democracy without military intervention. Because if you allow the army to come in, once they come in, they will not go, right? They will not willingly just leave their interests aside and then, and withdraw from politics. No, they want to have a say. I find it very contradictory or paradoxical to see that some of the people in Turkey, including some of my Turkish friends, and some of my Thai friends who actually say like, we would prefer military intervention than an ambitious or authoritarian leaders like Erdogan or Thaksin. Okay, I'm not saying Thaksin is a good man. I also disagree when he was in power. I was telling my Thai friends like, look at Thaksin now, he's becoming like Mahathir. You better watch him. He's dangerous. This guy is dangerous. However, when he was overthrown by the military, I was shocked like this is not the right way to get rid of him. Walaupun saya tak suka Mahathir pun, I didn't call the askar to come in and arrest him and put him under house arrest. No, I just want Mahathir to give me the power, to give me the right to speak against him. That's all. I'm not asking that Mahathir be put under house arrest or put in jail, just like that. No. Or in the case of Turkey, when they were rising against Erdogan, some of my friends were saying like, oh, maybe it would be a good thing that the military would get their own back by putting Erdogan under house arrest. This is wrong. I think this is wrong. How can they believe these people? They are liberal. Okay, they are so-called liberal. They are educated. They are well educated, even. Okay, they represent the middle class. They represent the urban population. How can they believe that the military men, these army officials, will share their progressive and liberal agenda? I don't know. I don't understand. How can democracy come through a barrel of a gun? No, I don't think this is the right way. We have to think of the serious consequences. Once they step in, they will not leave, and then they will continue to increase their powers, over all sectors in society. There will be serious consequences, whether in Turkey, whether in Thailand, and in the case of Egypt. I'm saying the same thing. I'm not happy with what Morsi was doing. He was marginalizing the women. The women's group were complaining about his very conservative agenda, and also I read, I handled several Christian cases from Egypt that would, they were telling me Egypt had become very difficult for Christians to live in. You have to understand there's about 10% of the population in Egypt that they are Christian, Coptic Christians. And they are facing a lot of difficulties after the revolution in 2011. Yes, fine, I agree. These things happen. These problems, I'm not happy with what is going on. But you cannot allow the military to step in and get rid of a democratically, popularly elected head of state. Right? This is not the right way. I think the right way is for civil society to increase its own bargaining power, to mobilize, and also to regroup and fight against a very authoritarian regime, whether it is Morsi, whether it is Erdogan, whether it is UMNO. Right? I think the best way is for civil society to mobilize, to become resilient, to become more organized and powerful. We need to have our voices heard in public, and we need to, of course, like in the context of Malaysia, we cannot just work. I have always said, we have different ethnic groups, we speak different languages, although we all speak Bahasa kan, but we still need to have cross-ethnic cooperation. We need that. We need our Muslim friends to understand us. I mean, speaking from a Christian perspective or a non-Muslim perspective, and I want my Christian friends, my Chinese friends, my non-Muslim friends understand what my Muslim fellows are thinking, and then we try to find a common ground to fight against a government is trying to manipulate the issues of race, religion, whatever. Right? We need more common understanding and we put aside the differences, and then we find common ground. And this is how South Korea becomes so successful. This is how Indonesia becomes so successful. Right? 10, 15 years ago, I thought Thailand would be the example for Southeast Asia. But today, my opinion has changed. I think Indonesia has really moved so much forward compared to other Southeast Asian nations in the 80s and 90s with all the Philippines, or then without Thailand. But today I can see democracy really taking root in Indonesia, with military playing a very minimal role in society. Of course, there are still issues that we can choose to criticize Indonesia, corruption, whatever, but we have to see the progress that Indonesia has made. We have to see the progress that South Korea has made over the years, right? So my message basically for all of us is like, because I'm quite concerned when I heard people saying that, Morsi, he was such a dictator. He dominated politics. He didn't give way. He didn't really take care of the interests of other people, whether they are liberals, whether they are women, whether they are Christian, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. But we cannot bring in the army to deal with him. This is not right. And I fully agree with what the Egyptian people is doing now, taking to the streets to take back their power that has been taken away from them in such an unjust way. Because the military is using was using the public interest to move against Morsi. So today, those people who are in power, or the new government that is going to be elected, if the military does keep to its promise of election at all, will the military move move against the new government that is not to its liking? We have to think. Today they use the public interest to move against you. Tomorrow they can use the same excuse to move against another government, and that will be what I say a habitual military interventions in the years to come, like in Thailand. And I don't believe in corrective democracy. I don't believe in corrective intervention. As simple as that. So this is basically the message we have to send out. You can disagree, you can dislike the government, but you cannot call in the army to get rid of the government that you don't like. Fight in if we believe in democracy, if we believe in diversity, then we must have the understanding and the maturity to know that we cannot fight against a government with a gun. No, that's not the right way. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. I forgot you have a PhD in this democracy.
No. I'm the only panelist here without a PhD.
Without a PhD.
Moderator.
I'm happy to announce on behalf of the organizer that we have at the moment about 125 attendees, even though as per Muslims, this is our fasting day. Give a big clap for the co-organizer for this program, Ikram, has embarked upon a resolution which they have passed to various societies and organizations, which probably they will announce afterwards. But I'm happy to say now there are more than 100, more than 100. And interestingly, we as a Muslim, we feel that this is not really a Muslim issue. And at least a third of the organization are Chinese organizations, right? And interestingly, when I look at the list, there is also Persatuan Kubo Cina. So Malaysia, give a clap to that as well. Ada ke Tuan Syed Persatuan Kubo Melayu? Tak ada. How dare orang Melayu? Tak ada. Persatuan Kubo Cina supports you. Chinese grave society. Send SMS to your wife. Yeah. No, in other words, two groups of people supporting the revolution in Malaysia. The living people and dead people. Right. Okay. Right, gentlemen, I think we have been entertained by Dr. Mursi about the facts, data, etc. Just for information, we make a few research. This is like a tragedy of the 21st century. 80%, 85% of the land in Egypt is owned by the army. I mean, this is really a big tragedy. The other thing is that BBC make a research as well. The present temporary cabinet, because General CC says by January or early next year we'll have an election, but the present temporary cabinet, 40% are from the army. Another 40% are from the party that actually lost the election. And only 20% are civil servants. How undemocratic, Josh. Ini orang kalah semua dapat jawatan ni, as if, whatever.